Have you ever been in a situation where you worked so hard, stayed up late most nights, did the job nobody was willing to do, but when it was time for recognition, they gave it to somebody else? That pain in your chest, that's what we are talking about today. The pain of being overlooked. Now let's paint a scenario. Imagine you were the one that showed up early, stayed late, double check on the report. Everybody in your team knows that you are the star player. And they've even started whispering things like that promotion, now you get that. Then when it was time to actually announce the promotion, it wasn't you. They called somebody else. You clap for the person, you smile, but within you, you are asking God, what did I do wrong? I want to tell you that that feeling is real. The pain is real. And it's not just in the office place, it happens in business, in friendship, in relationship, where you put in your best, but they rather choose somebody else over you. And let's break down this truth. We are trying to believe that if we work so hard, stay consistent, and keep our head down, that people will notice. But in reality, that formula does not always work. Your work can become invisible because people take it for granted. And even sometimes, passion can actually be mistaken for desperation if not properly balanced. Now, there's this conception of doing too much. Let's be honest, when you do the most, sometimes you secretly make some people uncomfortable. So when you're shining bright, instead of them clapping for you, they'll start hating. They start saying things like, this one is overdoing, she's playing eye service. Or even they quietly push you aside, not because you did anything wrong, but because your effort makes them uncomfortable and nobody actually celebrates what it intimidates them. Now, this is where it gets more painful. Most times, it's not about what you did or what you're doing, it's about how other people perceive you. And most times, perception, my friend, is louder than reality. Being overlooked does not mean that you're not good enough. It also does not mean that your work did not matter. It only means that effort alone is not the full equation. And in the other part of this video, we are going to talk about the charisma, the boundaries, and yes, the qualities that nobody actually tells us. But for now, I want you to sit with this truth. You're not crazy for feeling unseen. You're not lazy and you're not unworthy. You are just playing a game that has too many rules that nobody actually told us about. Now let's face facts. Sometimes it's not the one that worked the hardest that wins. Not the one everybody likes. Not the one that delivers the best reports. And most times it's not even about competence. It's about politics. Who you know, how you position yourself, the rules that nobody wrote down. Now let's break down the big factors that separate who gets seen and those that get overlooked. Let's look at charisma versus competence. So let's try to paint a scenario in an office where we have person A and person B. So person A is actually very good at their job. He works very hard. He's very competent. He's passionate about his job. He works very hard at it. And then there is person B. Person B technically does not do half of what person A is doing. But person B knows how to get along with the boss, make small talks with the boss, even crack jokes at the right time. Now, when a notice for promotion comes, who do you think will be noticed first? Person B, of course. Because charisma makes people feel seen, and feeling sometimes wins over facts. Why do you think our politicians eat roasted corn and fry akara along the roadside during election period? They are trying to connect with the locals. They are trying to make connection. They are trying to get to these people's feeling and emotions. We all know that it's not the best candidate that usually wins during election, but the ones that knows who, the ones that know how to play the game, the one that knows the rules that is not written, the people that know how to position themselves. So it is all about politics most times. It does not have anything to do with you personally, but the game is the game. Because let's face the fact, competence can open doors, but charisma is actually what makes people want to keep you in the room. So if you're only banking on my work will speak for me, then you might actually wait for a very long time. Your work is important, don't get me wrong. But how you carry yourself, that's the game changer. Now let's look at boundary. Let's talk about being too available. Most times what people think is loyalty is actually the reason why people take them for granted. If you're the one that can be called up by 11 p.m., the one that always says yes, the one that never really complains, people stop seeing you as special, they start seeing you as background noise. Now let's take for instance two people in a relationship. If one person is constantly being the one that is giving without receiving back, it becomes a burden. If you're the one that is always trying to make peace, trying to be available, trying to check up on the other person, trying to provide, trying both emotionally and in every aspect, they'll start valuing you less. And the same thing actually happens at the office, at your workplace, in friendship. If at your workplace you're the one that is always bending over backwards, people start seeing it as normal. And when people start seeing things as normal, they don't clap for it anymore. That means you're no longer special. What you're doing is not special. Now, boundary is not about saying no everything. It's about actually making sure that your yes carries weight. Because if everything is easy access, people never really respect the price. Now, let's talk about politics. Most times, it's not the best that rises. It's the one that is most strategic, the one that understands office politics, the one that have alliances, the one that actually understands the unwritten rules. Let's face the fact that this politics happens everywhere, from Lagos boardroom to Abuja corridor, and even in church communities. There are power dynamics that determines who is being chosen. Now let's paint another scenario. Imagine two persons are up for a big project. One person has helped others, made friends with the HRM, showed loyalty to the right senior managers. And this other person is isolated, just focusing on their job. What do you think is going to get that project? You guessed right. Now, the first person does not necessarily have to be the best, but is about to understand the politics of belonging. Now, I'm not saying you should sell your soul or become fake. I am saying understand the system. Don't only focus on doing your job and ignoring the politics, because if you do, you'll be frustrated for a very long time. Now, here is the truth. Hard work matters, but charisma, boundaries, and strategy also matters. So it's not about working hard, it's about working smart. So in the final part of this video, we are going to be looking at how to shift the narrative, how to actually build your charisma without faking it, how to set boundaries without sounding rude, and how to actually play this game without losing yourself. If you ever felt like you're doing the work, putting in the hours, and yet people still don't notice you, I want you to understand that being overlooked does not mean that you're not good enough. It simply means you need to change the energy you bring. So now let's talk about the 3 practical ways that you can actually move from being ignored to being impossible to miss. Let's talk charisma. You need to add some more to your excellence. I know many of us grew up hearing things like you need to stay focused on your job and let your results speak for you. Most times, results whispers while charisma actually speaks loudly. Think about that one person at your job who is not necessarily the smartest in the room, but everybody just like them. They greet, they interact with people, they even get gist without having to gossip. Now this person gets opportunity not because they are the best, but because people enjoy having them around. Now if you're always too serious and always keeping your head down, I need you to add some warmth to yourself. Greet, smile genuinely, ask people about their weekend. I'm not asking you to fake it, I'm just asking you to be human. Because people don't only remember the work you did, they also remember how you make them feel. Now let's talk boundary. Don't overgive to a point of invisibility. One mistake a lot of people make is thinking that availability equals loyalty. But that's not true. The more you make yourself available, the more invisible you become. Think about that one friend who is always available anytime you call them, they are always there. Whenever there is a hangout, they are there. Whenever there is anything to do, they are always available. After a while, it becomes normal. People see you as normal. And one thing about people is that they don't celebrate what they feel is normal. But think about that one friend who is rarely available. Anytime that they finally make time to be around or be in the gathering or in the meeting, everybody goes, wow, he's here, she's here. They feel excited and they treat her or him as something special. Even at work, you don't need to volunteer for everything. You need to learn to pick your moment. Let your yes be strategic so that it carries weight. And sometimes even your silence builds their respect. Now, I want you to understand that setting boundaries does not mean that you're rude. It does mean that you're simply protecting your energy so that people can value you more. Now, let's talk strategy. You need to learn to play the game. Now, the uncomfortable thing is that life is not all about performance. It's also about perception. You might be the hardest worker in the room, but if you don't understand the unspoken rules, you might stay stuck. Let's use our politicians as an example. We all know that the best candidate is not usually the ones that win, but the ones that knows how to form alliance, the one that that know how to play the game, the one that know how to position yourself, the one that actually know how to use people, the ones that understand the game, the unspoken rules. That's the ones that win. And this cut across everywhere in the world, in Africa, let's say in Nigeria, in Togo, in Ghana, in Benin Republic, everywhere. So the same thing happens in the office. It happens in corporate world, in businesses, you name it, even in churches. You don't need to isolate yourself. You need to build a quiet relationship. Speak up in a meeting, not necessarily with answer, but with thoughtful questions. Connect and align with mentors. Observe the power players. Connect yourself and position yourself where decisions are being made and not where gossip is spreading around. I want you to remember that competence will get you respect, charisma will get you remembered, boundaries will get you valued, and strategy will position you in rooms where decisions are being made. That being overlooked does not mean that you're not worthy. It simply means you need to adjust how you show up. You don't need to dim your light. You just need to package it with strategy, with charisma, with certain boundaries, and position yourself in a place where you are no longer being ignored.